Namaste, Ali here, and this is day 3 of our Earth Week challenge. And I just want to say thank you once again for being here. The community that's come together is really amazing, and you guys are wonderful. So let's dive right into day 3. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look for the blog post below. If you're seeing this on YouTube and you're wondering what's going on and why this isn't a meditation video, just look for the blog post below and you'll see we're doing a bit of a challenge, and you might join us for the next round. So let's talk about consumerism and fast fashion. So this is a massive problem, and there's a lot we can do, especially those of us here as women. I just want to take a moment to talk about how atrocious the fashion industry is. It's the largest industrial employer of women in the world. 45 million, most of which are women. And only 2% of those women are earning a living wage. Okay, so what that means is that they can barely scrape by. They can barely make ends meet. They're working 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. It's not good. So watch out for deals and sales. If the deal is that good, someone else, a woman, in the world is losing out. So I wanted to touch on that because there are many conscious clothing companies, grassroots type of companies, that are posting and publishing their lowest wages on the tag. So we'll talk more about that. But what this is doing is it's giving women jobs that are earning a living wage and doing well. And you know, when women are earning a living wage, they reinvest back into their communities. This is studied. This is lots of studies going on about this. They reinvest 80% back into their family, back into their community, where the stats for men are a lot lower, like 30 to 40%. Sorry, men. That's just a little fact. It's not all men, of course, but in this sort of studies and the standards. So this makes a huge impact. Women, when they are given the opportunity to rise up, they lift up others up with them. It's that concept of like the boat rises, the woman is like the tide, and when she rises, she brings all the other boats with her. So it's really important to consider how our choices as women and buying into fast fashion, we'll talk more about fast fashion, how that's affecting our whole global community of women. And these grassroots companies that are making these jobs for women, these well-paying jobs, they're actually helping women come out of the forced sex industry, the human trafficking industry. And a lot of these women end up in young women end up in this industry, you know, because their children were going to starve to death and they didn't have any other choice, or they, you know, to earn money for, you know, their sister got breast cancer and they needed money for the treatment or whatever, things like this, and they end up in human trafficking or in the sex industry. So creating jobs and knowing where your clothing comes from is really important. So that's a little bit of an aside. That doesn't even touch on the environmental impact yet. Okay, so the environmental impact, let's just share some resources below, but what you really want to be conscious of is the amount of pesticides going into the crops that are needed to make these clothes, the cotton, and the amount of water. Also, synthetic clothes. So I'm totally guilty of having synthetic clothes. And unfortunately, what they're finding is the plastic, the little microplastic fibers, they're really damaging the environment. They're getting into our water system. They act like hormones. They're making everyone sick. So they're a huge problem as well. So let's share some ideas. What are you doing around this problem? What are some of the solutions? So some of the challenges that I've come up against is that I just tried to go like, I'm not buying anything. I've got everything I need. I don't need anything ever again. But my lovely, lovely family and in-laws like to buy me clothes for, Christmas and things like this. So I feel super guilty every time I get a clothing that's a gift, because I'm like, oh, the impact, it's just destroying the planet. And I go like really like to the worst place with it. So some of the things that and also I have a child, Audrey, who needs, she's growing and she needs new clothes occasionally. And, the grandmas, they buy her brand new clothes, and I feel really guilty about it because she's only going to wear them for a couple months, probably, maybe a year. So taking these resources and buying from fast fashion, I know the impact that it's having on women and the humans, and also the environment. So I get really, I have a little bit of a social awkwardness around these types of issues. So I want to take more of a stand with it in the future. I like to buy everything secondhand for Audrey. I go to places like Talese and those type of places, and I get her stuff secondhand, and she loves it. She picks out everything pink, all the pink things, and then we put them in the cart. Another thing that I might try, and some of you might have done this in the past, is embracing one of those minimalist projects. I forget what the minimalist project is called. It's like 66 something, one of them. There's a few of them. So let's share in the resources, in the comments, some of the resources around minimalist project, clothing, wardrobe projects, and that sort of thing. One of my tips is avoid patterns, because that's really a fast fashion thing. Patterns come in and out of style, and if you just wear solids. Especially blacks and whites. I do a lot of blacks and whites and grays, and like they just never, it doesn't matter. I can just wear them for years and years and years. So let's talk about some of the perks of embracing a minimalist lifestyle. We're by no means minimalists, but I'm trying pretty hard to be a minimalist. I would love to be a minimalist. It doesn't quite my relationship. There's a little bit of tension around it sometimes. Jay's getting embracing the minimalist life a little bit more all the time, but he's very much a consumer. He loves gadgets. He loves all the new gadgets. So there can be a bit of tension there sometimes, but together we're trying. Some of the perks, and I'd love to hear your guys' benefits in the comments below. Like, what are your favorite benefits of embracing a minimalist lifestyle? One of my favorite ones is the savings. Oh my gosh, we have so much money all the time because we don't buy stuff. It's great. We have financial security. We can spend money on what we want to. When we do want to buy something, there's lots of money there to do it. We can invest. We can travel, we can do what we want, and because a lot of it has to do with the fact that we don't really buy stuff. So that's a great benefit. I'd love to hear some of your favorite perks about, and maybe it's the lack of clutter. So we still have a fair bit of clutter. I'm working on that, but also I've got to learn to feel less guilty about getting rid of things, like finding things really good homes, because let's be honest, a lot of the stuff that we buy ends up in the dump, like it ends up being garbage. So what are we doing? Anyway, so how can we combat this? I'd love for you to share about your favorite resources. Some of the resources that I'll mention is you might watch True Cost on Netflix. That's a great one to watch. You might read the book Half the Sky. Let me know if you've watched that video or if you've read that book. If you buy books, consider buying them on your iPad or your Kindle so that you don't have to, have a physical book and all of the paper and the trees. So you might just get the digital copy. It's cheaper. You might do the audiobook, cheaper, and if you don't like reading words, it's a good option. So I'd love for you to also share your favorite conscious companies that are changing the world. So there are, coming soon, there's a whole coalition of brands that are committed to publishing their wages on the clothing tag. So that particular brand is called Able. So they're leading the charge on that, and I think their website is livefashionable.com. I'd love to hear some of your guys' favorite conscious companies that are tackling some of these problems, whether it be environmentally or natural products or some of the, human rights issues going on in the inequality of the world in terms of how women are treated. So let's hear it. I want to hear all about what you guys have got, and let's keep each other inspired and moving forward on this journey. So if you have a shopping problem, like I used to have, now I have like a not shopping problem, like Jay's like a little bit stressed out by me and my intense drive to want to not buy anything ever. But you might, if you do have a bit of a shopping problem, or that's your thing, like you're stressed out, you're like, oh, I'll just go shopping and it makes you feel better. You might want to look into that. But also, what are you going to do? You might claim, you might make a commitment in the comments below of how you might change your impact in terms of consumerism and conscious consumerism. So to win a prize, be sure to post on Instagram or Facebook. What are you taking away from today? What are you going to implement? What is the, thing that you're taking out of today, and what do you want to share? We want to hear about what you're sharing. So tag me, tag our partners, and I'll look forward to reading all about what's going on with you guys today. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing and learning together and making an impact over time. So baby steps, don't forget, don't be hard on yourselves. If it feels like a lot of information each day and a lot of information in the comments, take a deep breath. Know that over time with baby steps, so much can be accomplished. Consistency compounds. We are making a huge difference together as a collective. So thank you. Namaste.